Hey there, Nicole Holland here. You are listening to episode 24 of the Business Building Rockstars Show.
You're listening to the Business Building Rockstars Show, where your host, Nicole Holland, gets the lowdown from today's most talented, inspiring, and successful entrepreneurs on what it really takes to reach rockstar status.
Do you want to get your message out in a bigger way by being a guest on a web show or podcast just like this? If you do, text the letters I am ready to 33444 and I will send you free of charge a guide called How to Be a Great Guest. Don't make rookie mistakes that so many people do when they're starting out. Get known as a great guest that hosts search for free by texting I am ready to 33444. So to spell that out, it's the letters I am READY to 33444 and I will send you a complimentary copy of my guide, How to Be a Great Guest. On today's episode, I'm hanging out with Adam Urbanski, the Millionaire Marketing Mentor. We're talking about the ultimate blueprint for business success, how to understand the difference between strategic and tactical planning. Plus, Adam shares a deep, dark secret that you may not know about his entrepreneurial journey. Without further ado, let's get to the interview. Hey there, entrepreneur. Thanks for tuning into the Business Building Rockstars Show. You are in for a real treat today. My guest, Adam Urbanski, built his first $1 million business in under 10 years, starting with only $194 and a very limited ability to speak English. Today, Adam coaches over 80,000 service professionals and entrepreneurs on how to turn your business into an automated, client-attracting, and money-making machine. Entrepreneurs from all over the world call him the Millionaire Marketing Mentor, and he's the go-to guy for professionals who want to grow their business, build their authority brand, attract more clients, increase sales, and make more profits fast. A best-selling author of several books, Adam has been interviewed on radio programs and TV networks and quoted on numerous newspapers and magazines as an expert in creating online and offline marketing systems. Adam's specialty is creating and teaching simple strategies that generate money fast. His clients make millions of dollars in extra income each year because they follow his advice. In fact, just the top 10 of his clients and students generated over $50 million in additional revenue in the last 5 years alone. I am so excited to welcome Adam Urbanski. Adam, are you ready to rock?
Absolutely. Excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Woohoo! Fantastic. All right, so why don't you fill us in a little bit more? So you're kind of like the magic wand almost. People come to you for marketing mentorship, and you're just this amazing, gifted expert, and your clients have massive results. How? What are you doing with them to help them make money?
You know, it's kind of funny because I use this saying that success in business, actually everywhere in life, it's 90% psychology and 10% technology. And in business, it's 90% strategy and 10% tactics. So I think where most of my success comes from is that I'm first and foremost a strategist. So when people come to me and say, just like you, before we were off the air, they said, should people use webinars, or should somebody use teleseminars? Should somebody use this technique or this tool, Infusionsoft or Aweber or whatever tool? It really doesn't matter. Do you want to do seminars? Do you want to do public speaking? Do you want to work with people one-on-one? Do you want to have group events? Should I have a product? Should I have a blog? All of those things are tactics. So first and foremost, I always look at who are you as a person? What are you trying to accomplish? What are your strengths? What's your background? Where does that fit in the market? How can we mesh it all together? What's the strategy that we can build that you're going to feel excited about following every single day? And then tactics change over time. But when you have a solid strategy, everybody misfires at times, right? Not every single tactic will work for you all the time forever. But it's kind of like losing a battle to win the war. So you may find a tactic that's sort of not very excited about it, but because you have this clarity, where are you going? What are you trying to accomplish? It's very easy to be very flexible, kind of nimble, like Nimble 2000 in Harry Potter. It's like, man, once you get on the broom, you are flying.
Yeah, definitely. So maybe a webinar isn't the way to go for now, for example, based on what your end goal is. And maybe it is, but it's not the webinar that makes your client successful. It's the strategy and knowing who they are and what their strengths are and where they're going that does. Is that right?
Exactly, exactly. One correction here that it applies to all the techniques except for webinars. Webinars are always
Okay, sorry.
no, totally kidding. But you're absolutely right. So again, when it comes to webinars, folks are thinking, which platform should I be using and how long should it be and things like this. When it ultimately really doesn't matter which platform you choose. I mean, we're doing Zoom right now, whether you use GoToWebinar. I often teach people start with instant teleseminar. They go, instant teleseminar, isn't that a teleseminar platform? Well, yeah, but it allows you to display slides, and that's a webinar technology, right? What really matters is, do you know who you want to attract as your participants? Do you know what their biggest problem or the biggest desire is? And do you have a topic that they'll be excited to drop everything for an hour, show up and pay attention to you because they go like, oh man, I've got to listen to this. That will determine whether or not your webinar is successful, whether or not whatever else you're doing beyond the webinar will be a success or not. The technology, the tactics, again, is just a small detail.
That is such a great point. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because I think a lot of times when people are starting out, they really hear all this different messaging and this fantastic marketing, and they think, okay, I have to have this or have to do that. And I love how you really pointed out that it's not about the technology or the tactic as much as it is about what's behind that and the strategy.
Yeah. I want to bring, if I can just chime in with something, this is really an important point, because look, folks that are listening to this, you've been in business for a while, on and off, taking breaks. I've been in business for a while. They may be looking at the two of us going like, wow, these guys have it all set up. They have it all figured out. It's so far ahead of me, I will never get there. And the point is that we always study from quote unquote gurus, the mentors, the 1%ers, the folks that are so far ahead of us. It seems like they're uncatchable, right? And we look at them where they are right now, but we forget to look at, hey, where did they come from? What were the beginnings like? So show you kind of a tip. When I do my webinars now, and I have kind of this webinar welcome video, and someone registers and they have a welcome video, I've got a couple of them in different places where I literally just take my iPhone and I kind of go like this on a camera, go, hey folks, how you doing? No tripod, just right in my hand. And I kind of out myself in the video. It's like I'm showing you this little shaky hand iPhone video to let you see that it doesn't have to be a $5,000 camera production. Everything doesn't have to be so super perfect that it paralyzes you if it's not, right? Again, what matters is, do you have the message? Do you have the connection that your audience goes like, I want to listen to you? Because if the message is great, they'll follow you to a dark dungeon somewhere and listen to you. And if a message sucks, that they have no interest in, they won't even follow you to the fanciest hotel if you feed them for free, right?
That's awesome.
So the whole point is, for those of you listening right now and watching, don't go like, oh my God, these guys have it all figured out. We make mistakes every single day, just that we don't see them because we kind of have some, catching systems, and kind of like on TV, 6-second delay, right? So if there's a mistake, we go, let's not let everybody see this. We make mistakes. I make fun of myself all the time. I screw up all the time. And I think it's a fantastic thing, because you will often learn 10 times faster from one time you burn when you touch a hot stove than from 100 times, quote unquote, your mother telling you don't touch the hot stove, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Like to put that in there.
Yeah,
our audience.
Such a great point. Totally agree. And it's funny you say about the hot stove, because that was my dad's philosophy. And maybe that's why I am who I am. And I'm not like, I don't care about perfection too much. Quality, but not perfection.
Yeah.
So yeah. My dad used to say, you want to touch the stove? Go ahead. You won't do that again.
You'll learn fast.
So talking about as a kid, where did you grow up? Because you are not from the US, and English is your second language, if not beyond that. But
what do you mean I'm not from the US? What are you trying to say? Huh? Those dang foreigners. Yeah, I'm from Poland originally. I didn't come to the United States until I was 18. So I grew up kind of the 18 years in Poland. I lived most of the time in a very, very small town in the southwestern Poland.
Oh, whereabout?
Say again?
Whereabout? I want to know where this is.
Most people probably know the German name called Breslau or Wrocław.
Okay, Wrocław, yeah.
And that's actually my last 4 years in Poland. Prior to that, I lived even farther west and farther south in Wałbrzych. And actually, like the even smaller name was Dziecianowice. So try to say that, Dziecianowice.
I can't say that. I can say Zakopane, though.
Zakopane, that's farther east, yeah, but in the mountains as well. And, I think I was kind of entrepreneurial from the very early age. I mean, I know many stories that my parents told me because I've forgotten them. But things like I would go to my neighbors and tell them stories, and they would like feed me for the story or pay me money. I would go to neighbors and come home with a rabbit or a goat. And they kind of go, where'd you get it? It's like, well, I traded. And they go, what did you trade for? Oh, I told them something. Oh, I helped them out. And, you know, my parents didn't have a farm. So, like, every time I brought some sort of farm animal, I'm like, what the heck do we do with this? So I was all sorts of, you know, I guess I never had any hang-ups in, like, asking people. I remember one time my mom sent me for groceries. And I was short. Like, I don't even know like how much I was short. But I was short, so I just stopped somebody on the street. I say, hey, could you just like give me, you know, whatever it was? And they were like, oh, who are you? What are you? I'm like, well, my parents just live down there. Everybody knows me. I'm good for it. Just lend me a few bucks. So I never had hang-ups when it comes to like interacting with people and asking for what I want. And I always was blessed with the gift of gab. Unfortunately, in a different language for you know, my first 18 years or more. So that's kind of the beginnings.
Cool. And what did you want to be when you were a child?
Oh boy, what did I want to be?
Yeah, you know, like a lot of kids grow up, they're like, I want to be president, I want to be a lawyer, but they're little, so they only know what they see on TV, hear from their parents. So way before you knew what the job actually was, did you have like a dream or a vision of what you wanted to be?
Gosh, you know, this is so funny. I've got to take a sip of my favorite beverage.
Okay.
To even be able to talk about it. Nobody ever asked me this. You know what? I actually I wanted to be a priest, and very particularly, I wanted to be a missionary. And I always had visions that, so I kind of had an alternating thing. I wanted to, this is ridiculous, you asked me, a priest and a missionary. And on the flip side, I wanted to be an actor. And there was a series on TV. There was this handsome actor with long hair. So I always envisioned myself that I'll be like on stage or on TV somewhere with this handsome, long-haired dude influencing or, you know, inspiring a lot of people. That was kind of the two options. And I think in this rendition of me on the Marketing Mentors, you know, sans the long hair, I'm pretty much kind of living this missionary marketer type of message, and I'm preaching marketing message, and I'm on stages on TV a lot and just kind of inspiring people. And I think it's kind of fun.
Yeah. And
now that you asked me that, it came true. My dream came true.
And that's the thing that I try and dig into a lot of times with people that I'm working with and we're doing interpersonal stuff. It's like, okay, if you cut the crap and you forget all of everything you've learned through your life about what's possible and not, like when you were a kid and there were no restrictions, what did you want to be? And what I'm finding is when I do these interviews and I ask the rockstar entrepreneurs who've already kind of reached that place where they're like, yes, I'm doing what I'm put here to do. Like there's no question anymore. And I'm rocking my business and people are learning from me and I'm changing the world. I'm finding that so far always there's a correlation between what they're doing and what they wanted when they were very, very, very young. So
that is so cool.
Yeah.
I never thought of that. My clients actually on coaching calls call me Reverend. So, there we go.
There you go. It's so crazy.
Dream.
Yeah. So very cool. So now you, aside from like the trading and when you were young and you got things, when was your first official entrepreneurial experience?
Oh boy. So I don't even know if I guess I can tell a story. I won't get arrested anymore. You know,
no, if you don't feel comfortable, you totally don't have to.
Growing up in Poland, in communist Poland, owning dollars was illegal. All right. You could only own dollars for like a period of time where you were traveling abroad. And in fact, you didn't even have dollars. You kind of had like, I even forget what the Polish equivalent was. It's like some sort of paper that said it was worth X dollars, but it really wasn't. And at the border, they would exchange it for the dollars for you, but you couldn't bring it back to Poland. However, there was a thriving black market or underground market of exchanging, of buying dollars and selling dollars. So what I decided to do, this is a perfect thing for me to get involved in. So, and actually right when I started looking into this, it also became legalized just like short period after that. So that was my first business actually getting into having like, kind of like when you go to the airport and they have the money exchange booths. Well, it became legal as that in Poland, you could actually own one of those. So I had to go through all the training to have to recognize counterfeit money and so on. It's kind of pretty cool. But before that, I just showed up at one place where I knew people were kind of gathering, congregating and buying and selling dollars. So, you know, I stood there, I brought some dollars with me. I don't even remember where I got them from, but I've got the dollars and I'm all like excited. And people are coming up to me, it's like, hey, are you buying or selling? Are you buying or selling? I'm like, well, what do you want to do? You want to buy? You want to sell, right? Buy low, sell high kind of thing. And finally, one guy comes to me and says, well, what are you buying or selling? I'm kind of both. And he kind of looks at me and says, and who do you work for? And I'm like, just for myself. And I can't even tell you the language he used, but he just said, oh, you're a little guy. You better get the heck out of here because we're going to kick your ass in a moment. Man, I got out of there as fast as I could. So I made a few transactions. That was kind of my official introduction to being in business for myself. And again, shortly thereafter, it became legalized. And then another one was buying and selling cloves. And actually, that's kind of what brought me to the United States. I had a connection. I was looking into importing cloves into Poland. And that was kind of it.
Wow. And so once you started importing clothes, was this?
It never materialized. So I never actually did this. I wanted to do this, and the trip to the United States was kind of like, hey, this would be it. I need to make some connections over there, but that never materialized.
Gotcha. Now, how did you come to do what you're doing now?
Pure accident, survival, hunger. So, my first, I did anything and everything when I first came here, right? I didn't speak English at all. And I always remember, my parents had a bakery in Poland. And while I was never officially trained as a baker, which, by the way, there's a great lesson in there, growing up in a small business, it's like an employee didn't show up or something happened or holidays. Man, I was right there, in the midst of things and doing whatever needed to be done. So I pretty much knew my way around the bakery. But I also remember how hard my father worked. And I was like, man, I never want to do anything to do with baking and bakery. Well, guess what? When you go on your third month on a cup of coffee a day and you kind of, and the only job that opens is somebody kind of wants to give you a chance is, hey, come and be a baker, which, by the way, was a glorified term for somebody who cleans floors and cleans a toilet for a while, right? But it's like, that's kind of how I got into the bakery restaurant business. And there is a lesson I want to highlight in a moment. And then after then from that, I got hired to manage a restaurant. From that, I got hired to manage a larger chain. And from that, I bought into the chain, eventually bought out my partners and owned the business flat out. And from that, I got into self-growth and realized that, hey, running a restaurant is fantastic, but I can only feed so many people a day. And it's not the impact. It didn't allow me to be on stage and preaching to people. So I was like,
and that's what you were born for.
That's what I was born for. So I got out of there. But, a couple of things actually in the journey that are worth mentioning to every entrepreneur. I now teach my clients and students that what's different about being an entrepreneur versus being in any other job or academic training or corporate career is that nobody gives you permission to do anything. Nobody's going to give you a title of an entrepreneur. You don't go to school and get certified and get a diploma for this. You just are. You claim it, and then you work your butt off to prove it. So in that first job as a baker, when I showed up, the guy pretty much instantly knew, like within a couple of hours, this guy is not a baker. But let me tell you, by the next morning, I was a baker because I realized that if I don't learn that night what needs to be done and how to do it, the way they want it done, I will not have a job the next day. So, I was a very quick study. When I got hired to manage that restaurant, I only went on 2 interviews in my life, and I landed the job each time. Each time I outperformed 40 plus candidates that were interviewing for the same job. And, the principle was the same. I showed up confident that what I'm applying for is already mine. And I cannot even tell you how much prep work I put in. I whatever I could learn about the company or industry, I learned. The first company that hired me is, again, they told me later, they interviewed, 40 some people. They wanted me. So imagine this guy shows up, no education, no, very poor English language. And I told them that I can do what they wanted to have done. Once they told me I'm hired, it was about a 3-month leadway time because they were opening a new place. Guess what I did in those 3 months? I went and got hired at another place and did like the crappiest job I could get. But I learned the insides of how things work. So by the time I actually showed up for my official job, I knew exactly what needed to be done. All right. So you just have to claim whatever you want to be, and then you hang on to it as hard as you can and you work as hard as you can to prove that you deserve it.
That's brilliant. And I love that you talk about, you really took everything seriously, not casually. And I think that that's something that not just in entrepreneurship, but in life. Anybody who says, well, I want this, but I always get the short end of the stick, or, they don't have the success that they want, it's generally because they're going after things really casually. And it's like, I want this. Well, what are you going to do for it? Nothing comes free. You can have anything. I mean, we know law of attraction tells us we can have anything we want, but we have to actually act in alignment with our desires. So I love that experience and that lesson you're sharing. Thank you. So fast forward to today, how is it that, how is it that you've become known as the Millionaire Mentor, marketing mentor?
I told people I am one. That's really it.
That's awesome.
So when I started my consulting business, I was actually called something different. That's another great lesson, because I kind of watched what other consultants do, and I named my group Insight Development Group, and Insight as like Insight a Riot, because I thought, man, this is all about, growing companies, growing people. So there's like incite people into action, right? Insight Development Group. Funny thing is, many addresses later, 16 years later, I'm still getting sometimes emails at that old email address. I'm still getting mail and phone calls occasionally. People trying to sell me like heavy construction equipment since I'm a development group. I'm like, no, that's not. But, again, I've watched other consulting organizations. They were like Pinnacle Development Group, this development. I'm like, I've got to be Insight Development Group. Well, does it even tell you what the heck I do? Nothing, right? So then about a year into this, I'm like, this name sucks. And I was so afraid of changing, because I watched other people who kind of start a business. They do a month this and then a month that, and every month changes. And I was always like, you've got to be consistent in stability, right? Which I've learned later that that's true, but you also have to be nimble. You have to be able to, pivot at times. So about a year into this endeavor, I was like, you know what? This Insight Development Group, I'm targeting small businesses. I want to work with entrepreneurs. And what they really are relating to is that they need, the people that I want to work with, they want marketing training. And at the same time, there was like this birth of coaching industry. And I started looking at, okay, what are the coaches? What are mentors? What are consultants? What are the distinctions? I'm like, you know what? I'm neither one of them. I'm a mentor. And today it's a very popular word. Back then, nobody was using this, so that was unique. I'm like, you know what? I want to be a marketing mentor. And I started a business, started calling myself this. And eventually we got to the point where we launched other students to be at the $1 million plus mark. I grew my business to $1 million plus mark. I was like, you know what? It's time to add another distinction to it. Let's do a Millionaire Marketing Mentor. And, the lesson here is kind of like this entrepreneurial, you got to claim it. You've got to anoint yourself something, right? You've got to call yourself. I think that was, the greatest fighter, Muhammad Ali, right? Why did he, how did he become the greatest fighter? He called himself that. He told the world he was the greatest fighter that ever lived, and then he became one. That it's the same thing.
I love that. And I think too, it's important to mention that you not only claim it externally that you're calling yourself something, but it. You're aspiring to it internally because you buy in. I think that it doesn't work so much. I would imagine it doesn't work for people, and they're not in your shoes when they're calling themselves something that they don't believe is possible for them.
That is true. That is true. And as you were saying this, I was kind of thinking, what's the difference between this versus the fake it till you make it? Because I hate that term. And you're right. It's like, it has to be so internalized. You have to believe it that you are it. And that doesn't mean you've got it all perfect to start with. I mean, nothing is ever, already there. Everything is always a journey. So you will make mistakes. You will screw up. But you're absolutely right. It has to be like internally. You've got to be it. You've got to step into this, and you are it.
Yeah. I know Gina Gabellini often talks about the stepping into the role of successful CEO. So even when you're fussing about and you feel like you're not getting success, if you don't behave like it, or if you don't believe that you are, then you won't be. So
absolutely. But what's interesting about it, Nicole, is that I talk about, this one of the biggest things that stops entrepreneurs is confidence, right? And for many years, even though I had my own bouts with depression and lack of confidence, I never, I tend to be very eternally optimistic. So all the bad things that happen, I forget them very quickly. It's like I forget the losses, but I don't lose the lessons. And I move forward, and someone says, what's the worst thing that ever happened to you? I'm like, Come to think about it, I never had anything bad happen to me. It was all great, which isn't true, right? And I forgot what the point what was the point I was trying to make. Dang it was a good one. Oh, so with this confidence, when people are kind of struggling to get started, I often teach them, talk the walk. Talk the walk. There's a saying, oh, somebody is walking the talk. I'm like, that's BS. That means that they were talking about something first and trying to be who they are not. And then eventually they caught up with their own actions, right? That's a little hypocritical. Versus if you talk your walk, that means you've done something and now you're talking about it. So the trick is people often underestimate their own accomplishments. Look, if you've put together 3 of your own opt-in pages and they all convert at 30, 40%, and they're giving you, building your list, look, you can turn around and start showing others, here's how to build a cool converting web page or opt-in page. And you think, that's too small, that's not big enough. That one thing is going to catapult you to a great success because you're going to be talking your walk. You're going to be speaking from experience. When someone says, oh, you've got to do this, that doesn't mean you automatically say, well, no, that's not the way, but you'll be able to bring distinctions going like, that's true. And, here's what really happens in reality when you go about it. So to give you an example, many people may have heard of Michelle Sissom, right? She's known as the results lady, great entrepreneur. She came to me and wanted to be this great, well-known business consultant. She had a background in her own family business for many, many years. And so I just want to help people with their businesses. I want to be this business growth business consultant. It's so broad. How do you get hitched to anything? What's your specialty? Why you versus any other person? And then this is now many years ago when Facebook was just getting utilized by entrepreneurs. She started her own Facebook page, and in the course of 30 days, brought in 1,000 fans. And I said, Michelle, this is it. Start teaching. And I said, did you advertise? And so she goes, I did this, I did this, I did that. Great. Put this into a teleseminar and teach people how to get your Facebook fan page from 0 to 1,020 fans in less than 30 days with 0 advertising. And guess what? She started teaching this. She started teaching this once a week. In 90 days, she was everywhere. People were inviting her to do this teleseminar on telesummits. People were interviewing her for their circles of influence. And it was all because she did this one thing, got really good at it, looked back, analyzed the steps, put them in a system, and she started talking her walk. That's the difference. So when she then claimed herself to be the results lady, well, yeah, when it comes to Facebook fan page, I've got the results. I'm the results lady. Same thing was for me, the marketing mentor. I've built and sold businesses prior to that. So I knew how to buy, grow, and sell a company. And it was all about marketing. So from that perspective, and I walked, I walked it in the past. So to talk about it, I was able to step into that confidence. I didn't have to fake it. I needed to explain it because I was like, on my mind, I was like, I don't want to hear this, fake it till you make it. There is more to it. You've got to talk your walk.
Talk your walk. I am so glad that you explained that. And I hope our listeners really took notes there. You might want to go back and rewind and listen again. I know that this has really hit home for me because it's something I definitely struggle with, and that I feel like I have a lot of confidence, but that bragging or really owning my accomplishments and talking about them has always been a real challenge for me. And I know that I'm not alone there. So that is a super, super valuable suggestion, obviously, since that's what you teach. So, Adam, before we wrap,
write this down. This is a writer downer.
It is a writer downer. It is a writer downer. We'll have that in the show notes too. Pardon?
I love when people say that.
Oh yeah.
Write this down. This is my NLP on you. Write this down.
Awesome. So before we wrap up, I got just a few more questions, and then I'll let you let people know how to reach out to you. So, tell me one of the things that you find most valuable in keeping yourself strong, keeping yourself in top shape, on point, whether that's physical, spiritual, in business, whatever it is. What's one of your favorite self-care strategies?
My favorite self-care strategies. There are a lot, but like which one? How do I narrow it down? I think the favorite, and I don't know how to quite verbalize it, but it's really, you've got to know yourself. You've got to know yourself. So you got to know yourself to the point where you can take other people's advice and don't adopt it, but adapt it to yourself. So for me, it really translates into everything. It translates into my fitness. It translates into the way I eat. It's like my workout schedule can say today you've got to run 14 miles. And I'm like, you know what, if I run 14 miles today, it's going to like throw off the rest of my day. So you know what, today I'm going to run 6 miles and it's going to be perfect. And maybe I squeeze another CrossFit workout later in. And, it's like some people would say, well, what's really healthy is you got to do like this bullet coffee or something. Like, well, you know what? That's just way too much fat and whatever for me. I don't want to do this, but I'm going to eat. Or somebody would say, well, you can't eat carbs, so you've got to eat this. And all of those things are true, most likely in moderation. But, but for example, for me, is there are times where I would just gulp orange juice like there's no tomorrow. My body like craves oranges. And there is time when I would take a sip of oranges and my entire system feels so acidity. I'm like, oh man, I've got a stomach burn just from one sip of. So my body tells me don't do that. So that's my strategy. Listen to yourself. You got to know yourself and kind of navigate the waters, for what your body, your intuition tells you is right for you.
I love that. I think that is so incredibly wise. And I can definitely relate to that. And sometimes I think we question it because what we're told you're supposed to feel, you're supposed to do, or what's good, like you said. And it could be good one day for you, and the next day it
changes.
Totally the wrong thing. Yeah. And just being fluid, you talked about before about being consistent but nimble in your business. And I think it's so important overall in life that you know yourself, as you said, and you can do those regular habitual routines that you feel are valuable for you, and at the same time not get down on yourself or feel like you have to push through something that just doesn't feel good.
Yeah, absolutely. So two other things I would quickly add, I don't know if we're up against the time, but two things I would quickly add is take time off. And one thing I learned from one of my mentors, Dan Sullivan, is that time off is not a reward, but it's prerequisite to success. And, especially when you're a young entrepreneur and you're kind of really in the trenches, just hustling, you're always hungry, you're always looking at what you haven't accomplished yet versus you never look back how much you've already done. It's really easy to work yourself into a frenzy. You start losing perspective. And it's so critical that you take a day or two every single week and just disconnect. So turn off your social media, leave your phone off for a day and just take the step back to gain a new point of view on everything what's going on. And you'll be amazed how refreshed, you'll be amazed how many new ideas will come to you. You'll be amazed how many opportunities you will notice that were previously totally obscure to you. And so it'll be the third strategy now would be morning routine. Actually morning and evening, but morning is even more important. So, at times I have my morning routine is pretty Spartan. It's a 3-hour routine where, I get more productive and I get more done and more centered and more focused before people even get up in the morning. And for 3 hours in the morning, I've got no connection to digital stuff. So between, 6 a.m. and 9 a.m., I've got a whole routine going on and I don't even turn my computer on yet. Like there's no email, there's no social media. So my day is really driven by me and what I want to do. It starts with me being centered versus just letting things bombard me and interrupt me and kind of throw me off from the very get-go.
Beautiful. I love it. Adam, thank you so much. Can you let our listeners know where they can connect with you?
What do you mean? They don't know me? You know who I am, people? You know who I am? Sorry. So if you look up Adam Urbanski Marketing, I should come up. But if not, go to themarketingmentors.com, themarketingmentors.com. And same thing, just find me on Facebook, Adam Urbanski, or facebook.com/Adam Urbanski. That's an I at the end. And you should find me, hopefully.
Definitely. And also you can always come to bbrshow.com for the show notes. We'll have all the links to the resources that we discussed and to reach out to Adam. So thank you so much for being here. It's been a blast.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. And hopefully it was a little bit of value to every single one of you watching and participating.
A little bit, just a bit, right? No, this was filled with gold. Thank you so much. Hey, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And if you did, make sure to subscribe on iTunes so that you don't miss another episode. And if you're just joining us for the first time, welcome. Thanks so much for being here. And if you want to catch up on past episodes, it's super easy to do when you subscribe on iTunes. Also, we're on Stitcher. And of course, you can visit visit bbrshow.com for all of the episodes, show notes, and more. I would love to hear what you think about today's episode by leaving a review on iTunes, or also you can go to bbrshow.com, and on our show notes page, there is a comment section. Dear listeners, I do this show for you, so the more you let me know what you love, the more I can bring you that. Don't forget that the Business Building Rockstar Show releases every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So 3 times per week, you can listen in to what the journey towards rockstar status entrepreneurship is really like. Until next time, thanks so much for being here. I appreciate you, and I look forward to connecting again real soon.
And there you have it. If you enjoyed this episode of the Business Building Rockstars Show, be sure to subscribe on iTunes so you don't miss a thing. And visit bbrshow.com for all the show notes and links to resources discussed on today's show. Plus, lots more.